Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Becca and today we're doing something a little fun. We are going to be talking about my entire Hoya collection. We're doing my 2024 Hoya update. It's been a while since I've done a Hoya video, but I do have a couple, so I'll link them down below if you guys are interested in seeing how these plants kind of came about, where they came from, and what they looked like when they were younger. So normally in my collection videos, I like to start with the first of that genus that I ever got, and I'm going to do my best to remember the order in which I got these, but I don't know, bear with me if I'm kind of jumping around the timeline. One of my first Hoya was this Hoya compacta, and it was actually my first plant trade ever. I drove, I think, like an hour to meet up with somebody who happened to be in town, and it was kind of, I don't know, a random situation, but they were one of my plant friends online, and it was kind of fun to meet somebody. And yeah, it was my first plant exchange and it went really well. I think that I gave her some cactus and she gave me a couple of Hoyas, which these Hoyas, I've already filmed this video and then my microphone wasn't plugged in. I've been having issues, okay, but hopefully we will have it figured out in this video. But they were actually outside for the last couple of days because we got a ton of rain and I just wanted them to get watered. So if you see a little bit of glossy water droplets, it's rainwater, baby. This one has been through a significant amount of neglect from me. It did have, I think, like 2 other pieces in it, but they ended up dying off, and we still have this piece, which is really beautiful, and it recently put off this offshoot right here. So the original plant just kind of stopped and then it branched out. So yeah, I mean, it's not a super exciting Hoya, but it was one of my first, and I really, really love it. And I love that it's still in my collection despite everything that I have put it through. Okay, next up, in that same trade, I got this Hoya Collection, and it was so much smaller when I got it. It's actually crazy to think about how much it's grown. And it's one of those plants that I like literally never think about. So whenever I see how big it is, like when I'm holding it right now and I like give it attention, I am shocked because I swear I never think about it because it's so easy. Both of these plants, right? Honestly, like a lot of my Hoya, I don't really think about a ton, but yeah, this one, the Hoya Collection, is really, really cool. When it puts out newer leaves, they come in like a more maroony burgundy color, and then they end up maturing into this nice green. And yeah, it's just a really great plant, wonderful grower. As you can see, we have a lot of branching, and it does really well in this terracotta pot. I do want to say at the top of this that all of my Hoya are propagated and or grown in De La Tank's houseplant soil, which is the soil collaboration that I made with Tank's Green Stuff. I always have it linked down below, and I have a little discount code too. And yeah, I'm definitely working on getting it in more retail locations. So I have a little forum on my website where you can tell me if you have a local place where you want De La Tanks to be. You can fill out the form and I will reach out to them and see if we can get something going. But anyway, in the meantime, you can also purchase it online through the Tank's Green Stuff website or Amazon. It's a really great soil. I love it. Like, I know that I created the product, so obviously I'm really proud of it. But aside from all that, it's just a really great growing medium, especially for propagating Hoya and things like that, and just growing them in general. It's nice and airy for them. We have my Hoya obovata, and I've had this plant since I think March 2019, and yeah, it's been really, really happy lately. I was gonna say it's been really happy, but actually not in the last couple of years, but lately it has definitely been having a moment because I decided to put it in the plant room because I was trying to like consolidate my collection a couple months ago, and I realized that I had it in my kitchen window and it was just really unhappy and not really growing for multiple years. And rather than me keeping it there where it kind of was just dormant, I have learned that Hoya can kind of go dormant if they're not getting what they need. So they're not necessarily going to die, but they're just not going to do anything, which is exactly where this plant was for many years. And ever since I moved it into the plant room where we have a full wall of south windows, and it is also a little bit warmer and more humid in this room comparatively because we don't have central AC in this room. I don't know, I think the conditions have just been a lot better for it. We have a lot of new growth spikes coming in, which is just really, really exciting. And I just can't wait to see what it will look like as it continues to grow and branch and just do so much more. I am hopeful that one day it will bloom. It actually has put out peduncles before, but it didn't end up flowering. So if I could get a bloom out of this, I would feel like I really hit the jackpot. But yeah, the leaves are just getting so much bigger and more beautiful, and I feel really proud that I made a decision to change her life, or to change things in her environment, and she has thanked me heavily. This pot is very heavy with all of the plant matter. On that same trip, I also picked up this Hoya pubic calyx, which is similar to the obovata. It was in the same area. So we lost, I think, like 6 branches of this plant. It had a lot of pieces, like a lot of stems in the pot. And I counted last time I filmed, and I think it was like 6 that I lost. So that kind of stinks. It would have been a lot fuller, but even just moving it into the plant room, like on my wicker shelf over here, it's like 10 feet from the window, but it still made such a difference for the plant. Like, it is so, so happy. And I actually do have this on the wall now. I have it in a lipped pot, and it just does really well trailing. A lot of my Hoya are trailers at this point because I just like the way that that looks. I have space for them on the wall for them to be trailer plants. But if in the future I have more opportunities to have like upright plants, I would definitely consider trellising more of them. I do have one Hoya that is trellised, and it is gorgeous. So I will definitely be showing you that a little bit later. But yeah, the pubic calyx is honestly really similar care to the carnosa varieties. It's very, very simple. This is like a pothos in the world of Hoya. You know, it's just really easy to care for and beautiful and striking, and it just does what you want it to do. And yeah, I don't know. It's not exactly a showstopper, but it is really a beautiful green spot in your home. And she's a reliable grower for sure. The leaves are nice and long, and they have a little bit of splish splash too, and I really appreciate that. Oh, the last Hoya that I got from that trip, and the last of my like original Hoya collection, is this Hoya compacta. And as you can see, it's really big. I'm getting all wet because there's a lot of water in these leaves. But anyway, yeah, this one is really one of my favorite plants in my entire collection. It is definitely my most prized plant, or I'd say like top 5 for sure, if not top 3, because I've had it for so long. It was a plant that I wanted really, really badly, and when I saw it, I was so excited. And it's crazy to think of how small it was when we started off. Like, it was really just barely popping out of a 6-inch pot, and here we are. It's in an 8-inch pot, and it goes and goes and goes, and it has bloomed many, many, many times, which is just the most wonderful treat. It's just the best thank you that a plant can give you. So carnosa blooms are typically like pink, and they smell, to me, I think they smell like Tootsie Rolls. But for a while, she wasn't really doing much. She was kind of stagnant, even though she was in this room. So it makes me think there was a pest situation. But when I treated for thrips in September, I think that knocked out the pest situation for like all of my plants. A lot of Hoya will suffer from something called flat mites. I'm gonna put this down because this is really heavy, but it's just one of those invisible pests, and they're really such a big nuisance, and you don't really know that you have them unless you can identify the damage that they cause, which is typically like knobby growth. Like the leaves, like the plant will keep trying to put out leaves, but it can't because obviously the pest is there, so the leaf will fall off, and then you have this just like knob that would have been the leaf. But anyway, long story short, I do believe that my thrips treatment that I did got rid of all of that, and I saw a lot of new growth like on my entire collection after that. So it was a nice reset for everything. And if you're wondering what I used Captain Jack's Dead Bug Brew. Definitely be careful when you're using something that serious. I did it outside and tried to wear gloves when I remembered. Now here's where things are probably gonna get out of order, but I don't think it really matters all that much. I really just like to establish that those were my first Hoya. Next up, I want to talk about my Hoya Callistophylla. This is one of those Hoyas that has done little to nothing for me. So it's put out 2 leaves since I've had it. When I got it in like 2019, I believe, so it's been 5 years and 2 leaves. I think that it's been struggling with flat mites more recently. Prior to that, I think that I just didn't have it in enough light. So, you know, she's been struggling. And I think I actually am gonna bring this out to the greenhouse because it'll get plenty of light out there, and I can do some pest management and see, I don't know, if something changes. But either way, it's not a plant that I would ever let go of because I just love it so much, and I think it's so beautiful, even though it really doesn't do much. But the 2 new leaves that I have gotten from it are this one right here, and this one right here. So they're very, very long and beautiful. And this one, I guess, has popped out recently because it's darker green than the rest of them and a lot more glossy. So it has to be newer, but I did not see it coming in. It has been trying to put out growth at the top here. And as I said, I put these outside to get them some water, and it still had the leaf. And I was really hoping that all the humidity and all of that, maybe some natural predators would come along, but the leaf ended up falling off. So anyway, I'm gonna do a Captain Jack's Dead Bug Brew treatment on this just to see if that helps. But I will say, on the positive side of this plant, it has bloomed for me so many times, like so many times. So many times that I actually have considered just cutting off the peduncles so that it could focus on putting out foliage, because that is really, I mean, of course you want the blooms, but with this type of plant, like with how beautiful these leaves are with the veining, I was really after the foliage more than anything. And the flowers are pretty, but it's not like a showstopper by any means. So I don't know. It hasn't flowered in a little bit, so I hope that it doesn't start working on one of those, and instead after the pest treatment, it can start working on some new leaves. It's definitely trying, but just has not been very successful yet. Okay, the first Hoya that I do not know the name of, I think it starts with a B, so I'll put it on the screen. But yeah, this Hoya is kind of similar to the Wayetii in my mind, like how I categorize it. It's just an easy Hoya that I do not think about. And as you can see, it trails really nicely. It's very, very full. I got this when I was in Nashville from a nursery there. And when I visited Nashville, I saw some of my favorite places. Like, it was such a beautiful place to go plant shopping. So if you're in the area, you should definitely take advantage of that. It's kind of like a take it or leave it Hoya though. Like the Wayetii, I would not leave, but this one I'm like, if I lost it or if I gave it away, I wouldn't really be that upset. But all in all, it's pretty and it's a great grower. And again, just another green spot in my plant room. What is this one called? Next up, we have another veiny plant. This is the Hoya caudata. And this is one that I'm growing as a trailing plant, but I really am considering putting it on a trellis just because I feel like it would like that more. As you can see, it is just kind of wrapping itself around itself and kind of looking for something to climb. I just need to get the bamboo. I'm gonna do like a U trellis. So I just need to find one. And I was really excited though, because it fits in this pot perfectly and it was really pretty on the wall. But I do think that it would thrive more with a trellis. But anyway, I got this one from Land of Alice, the online plant shop, and I've always had really great luck buying from them. It's a great spot. They have really beautiful Hoyas. I originally put it in like a 6-inch pot because it arrived to me in a 6-inch pot, and I thought, okay, well, we'll just maintain that. And then when Adam and Nicole came out to visit me, they were like, I think your Hoyas are in too big of pots. Maybe you should downsize them. And at first I really didn't listen. I was not sure that they were right. And then I decided to just experimentally open this one up, and I realized that the plant like root system was actually more appropriate for like a 4-inch pot, which is what this is. So ever since I downsized the pot, it has pushed out a lot of new growth, which is exciting because I think it's not trying to focus on filling the pot and it's rather able to focus on the foliage. So yeah, it's been a really great grower. I don't stress about it either. And the leaves are just beyond beautiful. They have just the most wonderful details on them. Like I love a veiny leaf. It's so pretty. All right, next up, this is a Hoya that I was sent from Planty Queens in Minnesota. And it arrived to me on this trellis. So it was kind of already done for me, which I'm really happy because I don't think that I would have done it if it wasn't already done for me. And as you can see, it is trying to find more to latch onto. There are definitely leaves on these little nodes right here. It's like, please give me something to latch onto and then I will make these leaves and you will thank me for it. But anyway, it has really beautiful glossy leaves. And at first, like all of these leaves down here, they're a little bit more dull, but once we started getting new growth in, it was actually crazy how big and splotchy and glossy they are. Like they're just so beautiful. It's one of those plants that one day I walked into the plant room and looked at it and I was like, oh my God, like she's beautiful. I I just didn't really think about it too often. And I think that is the case for a lot of my Hoyas because the care is just so easy on them. They handle neglect very, very well. And that is largely due to the fact that they have such thick leaves. They can handle droughts pretty well. All of a sudden I turn around and she's put out like 5 or 6 or possibly even 10 like new, beautiful, glossy, sparkly leaves. And I just was instantly obsessed. And what I also love about this is you can see the veins like in the leaves. Like it's not a color difference, it's just you can see them in it. You know, I don't know, I just really, really love that. I think that the leaves are just beyond gorgeous and big and glossy, and I'm obsessed. She's so pretty. It was another one that I had in too big of a pot, so I downsized it to this tall 4-inch pot, and it's been really happy and put out a lot more leaves. So this is your sign to double check that your Hoya are not in too big of pots, because maybe that might be why they're not growing. Who knows? But actually it's probably flat mites, if anything. But you know, you never know. Maybe it is the pot. Nothing wrong with checking. Okay, now we move on to Act 2 of my Hoya collection, and we have the smaller plants. So we're gonna start off with my Hoya Velosa, which I was gifted by Nicole from My Clean Leaves. And it's a really, really freaking cool Hoya. It had flat mites for a very long time and it has finally overcome it to the point where we have a new leaf, finally. You can see it's nice and glossy. These are so cool, like these leaves are so cool. They literally feel like, I don't know what I would compare it to, like crushed velvet is kind of what they feel like, or a really short pipe cleaner. I don't know, a pipe cleaner that's been shaved. I can't really describe it, but they're fuzzy and they're just so pretty. I'm really, really excited for this one. When it grows more, I definitely will be giving this one a nice hoop trellis because I think that this one would definitely, I don't know, be displayed a lot better in that way rather than trailing. But yeah, we've got a long way to go before we get there, but she is very, very beautiful. And I'm, again, just so thankful that it finally put out a leaf after trying and losing so many. Okay, we've got another hardworking plant that has just really been through it. This is my Obovata Splash. And as you can see, it has some really beautiful variegated leaves down at the bottom. A lot of the new growth that has come out is not necessarily variegated, but more splashy. This piece, however, this new piece does look like it's putting out leaves with variegation. I'll bring it up close so you can see. That new leaf definitely looks promising, and the fact that the stem is pink is also promising to me because all the other stems it's put out have been like a green or like kind of like a brownish color. So with that one being pink, I am hopeful that we will have something variegated going on with it. Adam gave me this one a couple years ago, and seriously, it did not do much for a very long time. And then finally, when I put it in this shelf right here, you can actually see it's now empty. This is where all of these Hoya that I'm going to show you currently live. They get a lot of sun exposure from the south window that is right next to that shelf, and they are so, so happy there. It's honestly been incredible to see them come back alive and like actually need water and use their resources to put out new leaves. As you can see, we have just so many new leaves coming up on this. Like there's a growth spike everywhere. It's really, really exciting on stems that I thought were done forever just because they had lost so many leaves. Yeah, they look so good. I'm really excited for it to fill out this circle trellis, and yeah, I'll keep you updated. This is my Hoya linearis, another one of my longtime Hoyas. I've had this one, I think since 2018, 2019-ish. I don't exactly remember, but I bought it as a gift to myself after I launched my first iteration of my website, dailyplants.com. And yeah, it was a lot bigger when I bought it. It was a very, very full 6-inch pot, and now we are down to this 4-inch pot. But the story here is that it received a lot of neglect, you know, as plants sometimes do, and I really thought it was going to die. It has miraculously come back around and did not die. I guess it wasn't that miraculous because I very intentionally saved it. What I did was I put it in a 2-gallon Ziploc bag and I just closed it up. And it just really thrived in there and did so much better. I started some of these by the butterfly method and they have grown, but a lot of this is just like the original leaves from the original plant. But yeah, it honestly has not grown a lot. It gets a lot of light and I'm wondering if maybe it's getting too much light, but I am just kind of nervous. Like the care on linearis has always kind of evaded me. I just do my best and hope that it doesn't die. And so far, kind of so good. I don't know. It might just be one of those plants that I need to buy a new one every couple of years. And that's fine. Like if it's a plant that I really enjoy, I don't see that as like a terrible thing. I feel that way about Fittonia. So yeah, I really like having it. And I think that these leaves are just so unique. Something that I also didn't know about linearis when I first got it is these leaves are very fuzzy and soft. It honestly kind of feels like really fun hair. We do have some new growth right here, which I was not expecting, but I'll show you that one. You can kind of see there's some shorter pieces in the mix and those are new growth, which is just so exciting. I think that might be the only spot where new growth is happening. Oh no, there's another one that has new growth. Okay, so maybe she's turning around. Maybe she's putting in work now. We'll see. Again, I'll keep you updated. Next up, we have the Hoya Caudata, which is such a fun Hoya. I got this one from my friend Teresa, and it has really cool mature leaves. Since I've had it, it hasn't done a ton, I'll admit, but I do think that it is because it was not in the greatest of conditions. But now that I've moved it over to this shelf over here, it has grown all of these new leaves. As you can see, we have some really lovely new green leaves at the top. And also I want to show you the more mature leaves, how they have the kind of ripples on the edges, and just the color in general is really, really striking. Just absolutely lovely. And they have a very, very cool bloom. So I'm super excited for this plant to keep growing and maturing, and someday it will put out a bloom, and I'm really excited to get to experience that. I have 3 different Hoya polyneura varieties. So I have a regular green one, I have an outer variegated one, and then I have the Brogée, which has more silvery leaves. So these ones are really cool because they have, I mean, obviously it straight up looks like a fishtail, which is how it got its name, the fishtail Hoya. And the Brogée has really pretty silvery leaves. You can see that really gorgeous color there. I'm just obsessed with my polyneura. I think that they're so beautiful and fun, and I'm really excited for these two to continue getting bigger. And I'm actually thinking that I'm going to propagate these sooner rather than later so that they can have a few more stems coming out of the pot so that the plant can just look fuller, a little bit more like this vibe. I have found that the Hoya polyneura is pretty easy to care for. It doesn't love having high light, so towards the bottom of that shelf back there works really well for it, and it is putting out some pretty new leaves on my all green variety. And well, actually they're all putting out new leaves, which is super exciting and fun. Okay, speaking of super exciting and fun, and also new to me, is this Hoya Pandurata, and with splash. Don't forget the splash. This Hoya is really cool because it has such unique leaves, and not that the leaves like necessarily the features of the leaves are unique, but just the shape of the leaves. It's kind of like an elongated rectangle vibe, and it is loaded with peduncles. I just saw another one that I did not see before. So there are actually 3 total on this plant, on this tiny little plant. Adam sent me this, so I am not shocked that it already is trying to bloom, because it would not do that if it was only left up to me. You can kind of see there's like a little yellow dot underneath this top set of leaves. That is a peduncle. I'm actually kind of torn if I want to look up what the bloom looks like or if I want it to be a total surprise. Tell me what you would do. Would you look it up, or would you want it to be a surprise? Because I did look up the Caudata bloom and it made me really excited and like sad that it's not blooming. But since this one like definitely could bloom, I feel like it wouldn't make me as sad. So we'll see. All right, next up we have the Hoya New Guinea Ghost. This one is a really, really cool silvery leaf variety. I am just such a sucker for silvery Hoya leaves, and that's what I told Adam when, you know, he told me that he wanted to send me some Hoya. I told him that I just really am obsessed with the silver leaves and I don't have any. So he definitely came through with that one, especially with this plant right here. I was not sure how it was going to go because when I got it, it was very like paper thin and wrinkly, just wasn't doing very well. And once it put out roots and had a little bit more time in the cabinet, it started to do really, really well. And it did get some sun stress. So I'm just excited to see how it will grow and change and just yeah, have a full plant of this. And this is another one that I will for sure be trellising because I think that we need to have all of the leaves on display. I don't think that this one would really be good for trailing anyway, so yes. Speaking of silvery leaves, we have the Hoya lacunosa silver, and this plant actually just blew my mind when I opened it. It was so beautiful, and it has put out a really beautiful branch of some new leaves. That silvery color and the veins are just absolutely to die for, and if you can see, there is a little bit of a darker edge on the margin of the leaves, like on the outside edge. I think that that is just so cool, and it frames the leaf really well. It like makes the inside stand out even more, if that's even possible. And this one I can tell is going to be a very prolific grower because we have so many aerial roots. And another lacunosa, I have the Hoya lacunosa croniana. And this is one that I have seen a lot of people have. And I'm really excited to have it because it is just so beautiful. And this one has a peduncle too, right there. It has like a really long stem leading up to the peduncle. And I'm hopeful that it will bloom and continue to bloom and be happy. We will see. Hopefully we can get lots of fun lacunosa blooms out of this plant. Based on what I have heard from Adam and other Hoya people, lacunosa are pretty easy. So yeah, I'm just really excited to see these ones grow in my collection, especially with the splash and the silver. Like it's so satisfying to watch them grow. Now we need to head out to the greenhouse because the rest of my collection is out there. So field trip time. All right, welcome to the greenhouse. This is the lacunosa moonshine, and please forgive that it does look a little bit sad. It is pretty warm out here, and these small pots need a lot of water. And actually I did recently water this one, but I don't think that it's handling the heat very well, so I might actually bring this one back inside. But anyway, this is the Hoya lacunosa moonshine. It's another really pretty silvery Hoya, and it's in a pot that I made in my last pottery session. So she's going to be moving back inside because the last thing I want is for such a young plant to be suffering, and it might actually be suffering because it is so young. That is one of the plants I got from Adam that more recently was moved up to an actual pot. I rooted it in De La Tanks and it was doing really well, but it might have just been too soon to bring it out into adverse conditions. This one is the Hoya chingongenesis. I know that I'm not saying that right, but it's a small leaf Hoya variety, maybe one of the smallest leaves in the Hoya family. They're really, really tiny, and it is actually putting out some new growth, which is super exciting. This is another pot that I made in this last session. I was trying to focus on making small pots because I knew that I needed some for all of these Hoya that I was getting, and it seems to be doing really well. Like I really didn't have high expectations for it because I had never seen it before. I just, you know, I didn't have any expectations for her, and she's doing really well, and I think it'll be super cute when there's just more. There's like a fuller plant here. I definitely do plan on doing some propagating. It rooted really, really easily. One of the Hoya that I have had the longest and is the most disappointing is the Hoya australis lisa. It has been this small for literally years. Like I have had this plant since I want to say 2018 or 2019, and it has been about this size ever since I got it. And I got it at a plant swap, and I don't know. I don't know why it doesn't grow. I have a lot of friends who have Hoya lisa or Hoya australis lisa, and they do incredible. I do not know why it doesn't grow. It is beautiful. It's like each leaf is a special watercolor made just for me, but even when I've unpotted it to like replenish the soil, the root system is still really tiny. So I don't know. It does have a new leaf coming in, which is exciting, but honestly, like if this plant like dies, I would not care, but for some reason it just won't. But it won't grow, even when I give it amazing conditions. Alrighty, next up we have another Hoya from my friend Teresa. This is, I believe, the Hoya Velvet, and it is aptly named because it has really fuzzy leaves. Not as fuzzy as the Velosa, but pretty fuzzy, very soft, and we do have some new growth coming in finally. It took a long time to do anything. But it finally did, and I'm really, really excited about it. I love this like lighter green color. I think that's really pretty in contrast with like all of the dark tones of the greenhouse. I think it's super pretty. And another pot that I made in my first pottery session. All right, same criticism for the last, for the Hoya Lisa is what I have for this one, okay? So it is actually looking like it's gonna bloom. That peduncle looks like it has some activity. And then also we do have a new leaf coming in, hopefully. But I have had this plant since at least 2021, I think. And this is still what it looks like. It's put out one leaf, I think, or maybe two. Maybe these two is put out. I don't know. Not a lot of activity, not a lot of movement, if you will. I will see if I can show you this peduncle. It is right there at the tip there. And then we have a new leaf coming in like right in here. So yeah, I don't know. This is, wait, did I say what this is? I think it's a Shepherdii. Green beans, very, very long, skinny leaves, very striking and cool. And I would love for it to get bigger so that I can put it like on a trellis or something. I think that would look so awesome, but we are just not there yet. This is my Hoya Chelsea, another plant from Teresa, and it has more recently put out this. It did look like it was trying to put out leaves and then it didn't work, so I am suspicious that it had flat mites. It just kind of halted, and ever since I have given it more light. I mean, that's just the theme. Give it more light. It probably needs it, but it looks really pretty. And these leaves kind of remind me of one of the Hoyas that I showed earlier. I don't remember what it's called, but it's the one that's on the hoop trellis. It reminds me a lot of that as far as like the leaf shape goes and how you can see like the veins in here. It's pretty similar, but definitely a much smaller variety. So super cute. Meet my Hoya retusa, a Hoya that I've had for a very long time. This one is also from Adam, and it has looked about like this basically the whole time. It's grown a little bit, like maybe like this is what it's grown. But again, I've had this for years and it still looks like this. A little disappointing, not gonna lie, but it is what it is. Hopefully one day it will grow. We will see. I don't know, I don't have much to say about it. We've got a Hoya Daikie, which is growing like crazy. It is seriously putting in work. You can see all of those new leaves. Basically all of them are new. I think there was only like 2 leaves or 3 leaves on this entire thing when I got it from Teresa, and it's just really happy. This one has actually adjusted really well to the greenhouse. I am pleasantly surprised to see that a lot of them have, with the exception of the lacunosa, and I do think it is because it is just a more recently rooted plant. But yeah, it has a new leaf coming out right here on this stalk that looked like it might have been abandoned, and it is actually putting something out, which is really exciting. So I'm excited to see how this one will, oh, hello. Oh, that's an ant. What are you doing, buddy? Here, get back on the leaf, I guess. Okay, the last plant in my Hoya collection video. Thank you so much for sticking it out to the end. This is a Hoya Sunrise, and it's one of those Hoya that when it gets sun stressed, it turns like a really vibrant orange and pink. That is usually actually how I see people grow them, so I'm hoping that with it being out here, that will start to happen, because honestly, when the leaves are green, it's kind of boring. Although it does have a little bit of a splashy element, it is just kind of boring. So yeah, again, hoping for some of that orangey red sun stress to come through. It does have some new leaves back here, which is just really exciting to see it happy in the greenhouse, and a little bit of a sunburn, but it should recover from that. I mean, hopefully it doesn't sunburn and just sun stresses. We will see. Thank you guys so much for watching this video and sticking it out to the end. If you have a favorite Hoya that you did not see here, or you have a favorite Hoya from my collection, definitely let me know down in the comments. I'm always looking for new plants to gawk over. So if you have any ideas for me, things I can search up and enjoy looking at, because I don't think I can fit any more Hoyas in my house. Sorry if you have one that you think I should get. I don't think that I should get any more. If this is your first video you're seeing from me, I would love for you to stick around and subscribe. Check out my Instagram if you want to see some behind the scenes of what I do day to day, taking care of my greenhouse and my indoor plant collection. It's a lot of fun. All right, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.